Alrighty guys, it is Quaman here today bringing you another debunking Dragon Ball Z discussion. And this time we're going to be talking about Saiyan Tails. We're going to be talking about a lot of the misconceptions about Saiyan Tails, and we're also going to be kind of debunking some of the fan theories and more so discussing whether or not Saiyan Tails can grow back, which Saiyans these applies to, and everything along those lines. So without wasting any more time, let's get straight into this video. As this article was started, or this forum more likely, by Pontiac GT, and he wanted to know, why did Gohan's tail grow back? I am confused why only Gohan's tail grew back after it was only ripped off. I can't speak for Goku and Dragon Ball because I don't remember if his also did. PS guys, it actually did. If you guys remember when Goku was pretty much fighting against Gidan, Goku's tail actually grew back when he was in a stressful situation, and it actually helped him defeat Gidan in that actual fight. So that's a little one thing to add to what this guy's saying here. But I know Vegeta's definitely never grew back after it was amputated. Gohan seemed like it was inspired by rage, but Vegeta's always angry and his tail never regenerated. Can anybody explain? So if I go back down here, this guy had a pretty cool fan theory that's very popular. The little theory that I thought up about asking this question is that after a certain age for Saiyans, their tail doesn't grow back after being removed. Gohan stopped growing back after a while. Goku's did too, but he had Kami permanently remove it in exchange for getting Earth's moon back. And Vegeta doesn't grow back because he's already fully matured and whatnot. Goten and Trunks were just born without tails, and Akira Toriyama also forgot about the Saiyan tails. I've already discussed this before. And when you bring in non-canon into this, in Dragon Ball GT, when Goku went back into a kid, his tail grows back. And his theory pretty much is that when Saiyans are kids, they can grow their tails back. After a certain age, it stops growing back. Now, there are some contradictions to this, but before we get into that, let's actually look at some of what Akira Toriyama, the man who made Dragon Ball, said itself. Credit to Kanzenshuu for providing a lot of these sources. So, when asked in this super history book about Dragon Ball about did the tail get in the way of fighting, Toriyama says, "It's just that I'm always thinking about how things are supposed to work, so it was a real pain to figure out how he'd put his pants on or stuff like that. That's what always bugged me the most. Is there a hole in the pants? Does he put his tail through it first and then put the pants on? So that made me want to just get rid of the darn thing, which I did in the end, ha ha ha." So this pretty much gives us an implication here that from the story creator's perspective, he actually had a nuisance of always trying to include the tails into the story. So I feel like that's a very important thing to keep in mind. And then when you look at this other thing here, even though you say you didn't think about what was next first, you were still wonderful at connecting up bits of foreshadowing, like with the origin of the artificial humans or Goku's tail being a Saiyan trait. I kind of liked forcing everything to come together, since that way it made them seem like I really had thought about it deeply. I don't plan things out right from the start. Instead, when I think of how to make a story come together, I basically just go, hey, I bet I could use that thing with characters too. I'm like, hey, that guy's still alive, maybe I could use him. So it ends up seeming as if I've been thinking about the story for an incredibly long period of time. So Toriyama is pretty much confirming here that, and I've already did a video about this when I talked about the creation of Goku, that the whole alien trait of Goku having a tail had nothing to really do with what proceeded later on. I just felt that was interesting to point out. This is a little bit of outside source information that's not really talking about the regrowing of tails, but I feel like you guys should just take information from that. So let's go to another interview that Toriyama talked about this subject again. Is it true that Goku's tail was a nuisance? So this is pretty much reinforcing what we said earlier. Goku was originally a monkey. After his initial sketches, Toriyama said before that he originally planned to have like Goku as an actual monkey. And he also says here, without a tail, he has no distinguishing traits. So I added a tail. That tail I added was a nuisance when I drawing, and when I really couldn't stand it. So I immediately thought of an episode where his tail gets cut off. Ha 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 ha. So we have another situation here where Toriyama is once again confirming that he had a nuisance of having Saiyan tails. This would obviously translate later on in the Dragon Ball series where all the Saiyans came around. It just became a nuisance. But there's one more key piece of information that I think really sums up everything here. So he was asked once again about the subject, why don't Goten and Trunks have tails? It seems that the tails are a recessive genetic trait, and it's also been pretty much confirmed before that Toriyama pretty much forgot about Goten and Trunks having tails. But here is the absolute biggest piece of information in this entire discussion to debunk everything that we've seen. What happened to Vegeta's tail after he was defeated on Earth? The tail lets you gain tremendous strength instantly by transforming into a great ape, but the risks are equally great. You'll lose your strength if it's squeezed. Once you're as powerful as Vegeta and Goku, the tail just gets in the way. It is though the bodies of Saiyans who are a fighting species decided that their tails are unnecessary appendages. So what do we get out of this? With Goku, Goku's tail was removed permanently by Kami in exchange for the moon. There was never any mention that it had anything to do with Goku's age. That's a fan theory and it doesn't have any substance because it was proven Goku had his tail permanently removed in exchange for the moon. So that's the first person. The second person we should talk about is Vegeta. Toriyama is pretty much confirming here that although it might not have been discussed in the series, Vegeta's tail was pretty much removed as a part of his own will even after it was cut off because Vegeta felt that it was an unnecessary appendage. And Gohan is obviously the biggest key piece in all of this. We've discussed before that it's been implied throughout the Dragon Ball series and even in the Daishenzu that a tail can grow back in times of stress. Goku did it against Giran, Gohan did it against Vegeta when he was obviously fighting, how his tail pretty much just grew out of nowhere. So if we look at those two scenarios, what we can look at and say here is that with Gohan, the reason why his tail never grew back, and putting a little bit of headcanon into this, is that Gohan's tail, like Goku and Vegeta, was eventually 100% surgically removed because it would have been an unnecessary appendage. Now, when was this removed? We don't know. Some people, and along with myself, have speculated, if you want to put headcanon into it, Gohan pretty much probably had his tail surgically removed 100% forever when he got injured and went to the hospital. It would actually make sense because if Gohan's in a hospital, obviously they're gonna notice a kid who probably has, you know, abnormal DNA, and that might be a time in the Dragon Ball series where they could have gotten rid of it. Either than that, throughout the scenes on Namek, Gohan has gone through a lot of stressful situations and his tail never grew back, and after that his tail never grew back through the rest of the series, even though in terms of actual time, if Goku was 12 at the beginning of Dragon Ball and his tail was always growing back, and Gohan, who had the recessive trait of having a tail too, is the son of Goku, and his tail never grew back, and Gohan was actually younger than what Goku was at the beginning of Dragon Ball, even though Gohan looked older, that pretty much confirms to me that Gohan's tail was removed just like how it was implied from Toriyama's statement that Vegeta's tail was removed along with Goku's. But even though Goku's was removed for different reasons, as he pretty much said to Kami that he would get it removed in exchange for the Earth getting its moon back. So guys, that has been my video for today. I hope I've summed up all of this tail shenanigan stuff. Pretty much it's confirmed. All three Saiyans in the series have had their tails removed for different reasons. Gohan probably had his tail either removed when he went to the hospital and they surgically removed it, or Gohan had it removed for the same reasons as Vegeta, as it was an unnecessary appendage, and obviously because he could be a threat to other people. Vegeta, as Toriyama said, he had it removed as an unnecessary appendage, and Goku had it removed, as I said before, because of Kami and in switching of the moon. I hope you guys like this debunking Dragon Ball discussion for today, and most importantly, I hope you guys really learned something, and I don't want to see more of these misconceptions being spread over the internet. So with everything else said, please remember to rate, comment, and subscribe. And remember, as I always say, to have a great day, guys. And if you guys haven't, I have uploaded a what if segment, and I've also uploaded a video talking about the top 5 scariest moments for the recent Halloween. So have a great day.
There. Now, I guess you'll need some new clothes, and a sword would help.